I'm trying to make $125,000 by New Year's Eve 2026 to pay off my student debt, and we've kind of stagnated. Last episode you saw me take a fairly big loss on my stream debut, but fear not, we've been on a heater the last couple weeks. I'm using Left Pocket Bankroll Manager to track my results. More information in the description, and my code is up there for you guys. But over the past few weeks, you can see that we've been on an absolute heater. We've even run 7 sessions in a row to bring our series total from this,
it's all right,
to that. We're running good, we're playing good, we're feeling good, good enough to take another shot at the Socially Wild live stream. And this group is even crazier, even more action than last episodes. We're going to be involved in some big pots with some big hands, running big bluffs, and hopefully stacking up big piles of chips. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hype the video down below to stay up to date on the series. Without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm very excited to be back on stream, and we are going to get involved very early on when in hand 6 we open up Queen 10 of hearts to 15 from the hijack. Promo is going to put in the 3-bet from the button up to $45. And while I think our hand is normally just going to call pure in theory, I think this sort of hand class actually makes a decent 4-bet bluffing candidate. Typically our 4-bet bluffs are going to be pulled from this sort of hand where it's close between calling and folding. So on stream here, I decided to give a little bit of action and make it $125 to go. Promo calls pretty quickly, so we're heads up out of position to see a flop of ace jack 3 with 2 spades and a heart. We have the gut shot, backdoor flush draw. I think out of position, I'd like to see myself size up a bit more than I did in game. Still, betting small in 4-bet pots, probably around a quarter is usually good. But in the moment, I decided on an even smaller bet size, about $40, 15% the size of the pot, looking to put pressure on his middling pairs, 10s through 7s. The price is pretty good though, and Promo is not going anywhere as he sticks in the call. $340 in the middle, and the turn rolls off the 9 of spades. Not a great card for us. We are open-ended, but we now could be drawing dead a lot of the time. For that reason, I don't want to inflate this pot anymore. I decide to check, and so does Promo. The river is the 10 of clubs, so we perhaps pick up some showdown value. We may see some hands like pocket 8s with a spade continue the flop because we bet so small. So there's a chance that we do win, but I don't think it's that likely. I briefly consider turning my hand into a bluff trying to represent king-queen, but I think we just have far better spots to bluff than this one with far better blockers, so I decide to just check and fold if he bets. He pretty quickly checks back, so we have a glimmer of hope to win, but we do see that Promo has a better 10. A little loose from him pre-flop, but he is on the button, I guess. So we're stuck a bit early. Nice answer. We pick up the action a few hands later with the $10 straddle on from yours truly. Promo raises it up from middle position to $45, and Derby Paul calls in the hijack. We peel pocket 10s in the straddle. We're definitely going to squeeze this hand fairly often, but Promo raised from somewhat early position, and he used a larger size than is standard in this game, so I think he just has a very good hand. We also want to retain some strong hands in our calling range, so I decided to just flick in the extra $35. So we're going 3 ways off to a flop, and it comes king, king, king. We flop a full house. I decided to start with check. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to lead this board, even though we have a pretty strong hand, and it checks around. The turn is an 8. I think we most likely have the best hand, unless we're getting trapped somehow. I want to get some value against lower pairs. You know, Zebo theorem and all that. People don't like to fold full houses. So I go for $50, around 1/3 pot, and Promo is the only one to stick in the call. The river is a deuce, pretty good card for us. Lower pairs like 9s through 6s have not been downgraded, so they may feel like they still want to put in a call here when I decide to bet the river. And I think I would like to bet. I think I have the best hand. Checking and giving him a chance to bluff isn't terrible, but in game I decide to fire out for $160, around 2/3 the size of the pot, and Promo hits the tank. Pretty interesting to see him think so long with just ace high. Maybe my image is a bit blasty to him, but after a while he eventually lays it down. So we're scooping it in a nice pot, starting to move back in the right direction. Moving along, Kravitz has raised $25 from early position, and we peel pocket aces on the button. We start about $1,000 effective, so fairly deep to start. Kravitz has made it 5x from under the gun, so we're going to make it pretty big also as we raise it up to $100. Kravitz sticks in the call, so we're heads up off to see a flop of Queen 9-5 Rainbow. Kravitz checks to me. I decide to bet small for $50, around quarter pot. This is far too small. Probably want to bet somewhere in the range of $80 to $100. But no harm, no foul, as Kravitz peels the pocket threes, and we see the turn 10 of clubs. I don't mind checking this turn back as some two pairs and straights come in, and Kravitz could definitely turn some hands into bluffs on the river that we can get some value from that way. But on the other hand, a lot of the pairs he could have some interactivity with this turn as well. Hands like Jack 10 or King 10 that were straight draws have just made pairs, and hands like King Queen or Queen Jack have just picked up straight draws that will probably continue as well. With that in mind, I decided to keep betting for around $155, around half the size of the pot, setting up a little bit over pot river shove. Again, I should probably bet larger on the flop, which would be a better line to be all in by the river. Regardless, doesn't quite matter here because Kravitz has fifth pair, so we can't really do much. He lets his cards go, and we're going to take it down. In the very next shuffle, the $10 straddle is back on. Bieber, who's been very active early on, decides to raise the hijack, and we peel ace 10 suited in the cutoff. Ooh, shiny looking. I like it. I raise it up to $100, relatively smaller because we're a bit shallower with the straddle on, so it's going to be easier to get all the money in if we'd like. LG wakes up with a pair in the big blind and puts in the cold call. Bieber gets out of the way, so Loud George and I are going to go heads up off to see a flop of Jack 8-6 rainbow. Pretty disconnected, would obviously prefer a backdoor flush draw, but we're going to have all the overpairs and top set that LG probably just doesn't have. The 8 and the 6 do interact with him more, but with the backdoor straight draw, I think I just want to bet my hand and try and pressure the kind of hands that he has, those middling pocket pairs at cold call. So I decide to bet half the pot, and he pretty quickly folds. Kind of surprising to just see him give up so easily here, but we'll take that all day long. Our next hand is going to get a little bit crazy later on, but it starts with an under-the-gun limp from Sparky. Bieber's going to ISO to $20, and we peel ace-king offsuit in middle position. Of course, we're going to put in the 3-bet. I would have liked to see myself go a bit bigger because we are deeper and there is some dead money in there with the limp, but in game I chose a size of $75. As we can see, this is far too cheap as both Sparky and Bieber are going to put in the call. 3 ways in a 3-bet pot, and the dealer fans out 3 cards reading Jack 7-5 rainbow. It checks to me. I don't hate betting from middling size here, but multi-way our betting frequency is going to go down globally, and although we have the backdoor straight draw and 2 overs, I decide to just knuckle it on back. The turn is a 2 of hearts, it brings in the backdoor flush draw, and now Sparky is going to lead for $120. It's around half pot. Bieber folds his gut shot. When it's back on us, I know what you're thinking. JQ, why did you put this hand in when you're just going to fold the turn? Well, you're right. I probably should just fold here. But contrary to popular belief, I'm not a robot. I am a human with an ego and a big ego in that. And my big ego doesn't want to fold ace-king to 1-bet, especially not when I have a heart and I could get spicy on some heart rivers. So I put in the ill-advised call, and the river is one of those spicy cards. It's the 10 of hearts. Well, we've come this far, we have the flush blocker, and Sparky has only bet into us for $175 into $475. It's around 1/3 pot. I just don't think he would choose this small size if he had a flush, so I decide that I'm going to put him to the test. I move all in for $705. The math here is that we're risking $700 to win about $1,400, so he needs to fold about half the time, but honestly, this is just me saying, that's not a knife. This is a knife. Just sort of some street poker. We do have the blocker. Obviously would like the ace of hearts a little bit more, but you can't always have the perfect blockers in every spot. Just to be clear though, this is not a spot we really need to be taking. And we see here, unfortunately, he does make 2 pair and probably can just never fold this river. It would be very interesting to have seen what he would have done with a hand like King Jack or Queen Jack here. But as is, he has 2 pair. He puts in the call. We get caught bluffing, just some random spew, trying to do way too much here. We're going to add back on to get back to the cap of $1,000. Nice hand, Sparky. Really don't love this one. Just sort of some nonsense going on for me here. Speaking of nonsense and random spew, the Nick game is starting. Rules are on your screen now. The last person to win a pot owes $250 to the table, so we're incentivized to get in there a little bit light, and get in there we will, as we're raising it up to $35 from the hijack with King 4 of spades. There's no straddle on. It's just a very large open because the Nick game causes people to do crazy things, myself included. Geico is not immune to the Nick game virus as he 3-bets to $115 with a slightly better version of the suited high card, low card garbage that we have. LG is going to come along with the cold call with the exact same hand he cold called with the last time. And when it's back on us, calling seems horrible, but I don't really want to fold either. I think Geico is probably getting out of line, and we've seen earlier how LG can give up pretty easily when he doesn't flop a set. So I decided to just go for it with a 4-bet up to $285.
This is the ultimate.
I left him in Vegas. Vegas was great.
A 4-bet from JQ. This kid is nuts.
So we're at the Red Rock Casino Country.
I haven't seen so many 4-bets in this game since JQ has joined the party.
We're definitely going to party if LG folds here. Our hand has okay properties to do this with. The king blocks a lot of the stronger hands like ace, king, or kings that I can rep. And I don't expect the 4 to interact with Geico or LG at all, so we're unblocking folds, but this is pretty out of line here. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you guys that, but we do have some reads from earlier, and it seems like our read is pretty decent on Geico as he has nothing and pretty quickly folds, but LG proves to be a little more stubborn as he puts in the call. We're going to need some help with $690 in the middle, and we kind of get it in the form of Jack 7-4 with 2 hearts. We make bottom pair. We could be good against ace-king, ace-queen, king-queen suited types of hands. LG checks. In-game, I was planning on just range betting this board. I think this is probably a board to mix, in theory, actually. And if you are mixing, this hand is a pretty square check. In-game, I do go for the range bet for $175, around 25% flop.
JQ hitting the 4 here, and I don't think he's going to slow down.
He's a really bad
Friday night, George didn't say a word.
He's a really bad
On his phone the whole time, didn't say a word. It was awful. Everyone loved it, but I hated it.
Kid's got balls.
Unfortunately, though, we do get maxed punished for this range bet, which is a little bit lazy on our part, when LG sticks it in my eye for $750. Kind of a crazy play from him, but we're making an even crazier one ourselves. I don't love it. You can see me trying to figure out my pot odds just in a bad spot that I don't really need to be in at all. Eventually, I land on fold. It's just a spot I didn't need to take. It loses us about $460 that we just didn't need to lose. Just some random spew. Nice hand to LG identifying the situation. I'm sure he probably thought I was a little stronger than I was. But the Nick game does cause us to do some crazy things. And we're not quite safe from it yet. We move on to hand number 42. I've thrown a hoodie on as it's getting a little bit cold in the room right now, and it's probably due to the cold deck that the dealer is holding, because I've raised ace-king offsuit to $30 over a straddle in middle position, and Loud George has peeled pocket kings in the low jack. He's made it a meaty 3-bet size of $160. It's back on me. You can see I don't love the scenario. He's made it so big that I don't think there's much merit in having a flatting range here out of position. There's just so much money in the middle to be won. So in game, I was between all in or fold. It's not the best spot because we've seen LG play some of his decent pocket pairs fairly passively so far. But we're on stream. I have ace king. I'm not folding. So I decide to move all in for around $1,000. George, of course, snaps it off, and we're off to the races in a $2,000 pot. We're going to need a little bit of help. Flop doesn't help. We have the quad sweat on the turn, but unfortunately we can't find the suck out on this occasion. We're rebuying for another $2,000. We're now in the game for 4K. I don't know, it's kind of a cooler. Maybe if I'm playing my absolute best, I can get away from it. Not sure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Of course, when we're on stream, I'm always going to lean towards putting all the money in. But to be honest, I put in ace-king pre-flop plenty of times in my life, and I definitely didn't feel good about this one. Not much to do but rebuy, and we move on. We go card dead for quite a bit before we pick up our next hand. It's hand 72 of the stream. We're first to act with ace-jack of spades, and we raise it up to $30 over a straddle. Paul, Shooter, Larry, and Bieber are all in there, so we're off to a flop 5 ways, which is pretty good for us. It comes ace, 10, 8, rainbow. It checks to me. We're super monkey in the middle here with 2 players before me, 2 players after. So I decide to check, and Shooter decides to bet $60 into $155 with his straight draw. Bieber calls with a worse ace than us. I think I need a slightly higher kicker if I want to check raise this hand and try and play for all the money. So I decide to just flick in $60, and the 3 of us are off to see the 9 of diamonds hit the turn. It pretty quickly checks around, and when the river is the 5 of clubs, there's a lot of 2-pair ace-x combos that beat us, but when Bieber checks to me, I decide to pursue some thin value. This may be too thin. Let me know in the comments. And in-game, I chose a chunky size, which is definitely too thin. I go for $250 into 333. Again, looking back, this is just too large of a size. I'm sure we could probably bet ace-jack here for value, but this size, I'm just not sure many worse hands are going to call. Ace-king would probably be the thinnest hand we can bet for this size, so I think ace-jack is probably way too wide here. That doesn't mean it's not going to work. Shooter's in the tank, and he looks like he wants to put in the call. Eventually, though, he comes to his senses and folds his 9. And when it's back on Bieber, he doesn't want to fold either. He thinks for quite some time, but eventually makes the disciplined fold with his worst ace. Probably a mistake on the river. I take that back. Definitely a mistake on the river. Not really playing my best, but maybe my ears are ringing for being stuck 2 Gs. But not much to do, but keep battling, try and lock in. I know I will definitely be in for playing some big pots later in the night because the nit game is going back on and the action is getting crazy. And that is going to bring us to our last hand of the night. It was also at the time the biggest pot I'd ever played. The nit game is back on and I am one of only 2 players left. It's me and Psycho Geico. If Geico wins this hand, I will owe $250 to the table. I'm going to be first to act in this hand, and rather than go first and be at a disadvantage, I decide to put the $20 double straddle on in an attempt to buy last position preflop. Geico has the same idea as me, and he throws out the triple straddle to $40. So we're playing 5, 5, 10, 20, 40 for this hand, around $1,700 effective. The graphics are a little off. They have me a little bit shorter than I actually started the hand with. Promo is going to start off the action with a limp under the gun with a mystery hand. It folds all the way back around to Bieber, who's going to call 40 from the $10 straddle, and we peel pocket queens in the 20. It's always a nice feeling waking up the 2 ladies face down in front of you. And honestly, it's such a scam for me to wake up with such a strong hand, so short relative to the straddles, and with the extra incentive to be fighting so hard for every pot with the nit game on. I do briefly consider limping in behind to try and trap Geico, but I don't think he will be any less wild if I just raise myself, so I decide to pump it up to $220. Looking back, I can honestly even go a little bit bigger given the circumstances. And we get exactly what we were looking for, as Geico says a quick prayer to the poker gods, or maybe I should say the poker devil, before he snap shoves his stack in for $2,000. We're in an absolute dream spot and so excited to snap call when it gets back to us, but it does have to get through Promo and Bieber first. And Promo looks pretty pained by the decision he's facing. He only called $40 to start, and now his entire $1,800 stack is going to be on the line if he wants to see a flop. He looks pained, and he thinks about this decision for over 2 minutes in game. When he thinks for this long, I think we're pretty good here. I think he's either going to have a weak ace or possibly a lower pocket pair for us. Obviously, that's the dream spot to get it in against 2 lower pairs. After 2 minutes of deliberation, Promo decides to come out of his trance and put his entire stack in the middle. Bieber dishes the small blind. We, of course, snap call with the 3rd best hand in poker. We are playing a $5,200 pot out of nowhere, and we have the best of it. Geico has shoved in ace-6 offsuit. Promo actually has a very real hand with ace-king of spades. I probably would have stuck my money in less than a second, but the last time I went all in pre-flop with ace-king, it didn't work out so well, so can't blame the guy for considering his options, especially facing so much action in front. And it's a pretty good situation for us. You can see Geico and Promo are sharing that out. We have 53% of the equity 3 ways in a massive pot. My heart is pounding. This is the biggest spot of my life so far, and we're going to have to flip. It's the classic of classics, and we just need to hold. Over to you, dealer.
What a way to end the stream.
I'll take a couple of sixes.
Oh, God.
We're almost drawing dead, guys.
Queens
We're
are good
almost
right
there.
now. Oh my God.
Nice job.
Oh my God. Promo spikes the
If
king.
you side pot, you win it.
You're gonna scoop a huge pot right now.
Yeah, that one hurts, guys. Gotta be honest. You can see my face super dejected when the king rolls off on the turn. That was a massive spot, and if we held, we'd be up about $1,200, but as is, we are absolutely buried. Not much to do. The hand obviously plays itself. Not much to do but take this one on the chin, unclip our microphone, and head on home.